Alright, we got, this is the next morning, trying to go ahead and finish this second panel up. We went ahead and got the window opening cut to the desired height. Now it's actually time to frame it in. So, if you accidentally bought the wrong lumber like I did, which I ended up buying 10 footers instead of 8s, but the price wise I couldn't really complain. It was pretty decent. Maybe I'll set you on fast mode and kind of let you see how I'm setting this up. It's quick, simple, easy build on the panels. They're really more time consuming running screws than anything. Stay tuned and we'll go ahead and run through some of these. Alright, you kind of seen that last quick clip. Basically we went ahead and ran the 2x4s. Supposed to be 2x4x8s, but these are 2x4x10s. Honestly, I can't complain. It's a number two grade board, so it's gonna have a couple little imperfections, and like what I've done is put most of my imperfections down at the end is gonna get cut off. So, and honestly, these were a lot cheaper than the other 2x4s, but they will work perfect for this project. So now that as you can see, I have an extra 2 foot laying out on this end, so it's not that big of a deal. All I'm gonna do, turn around, take my square, make sure we keep it, and that's all really I'm gonna do is just draw a line, drop a battery in, and make a quick, careful cut. I would have made it right through, but I was afraid of didn't realize how close I put the tripod. It gives us a 2 foot little extra piece, which I'll throw underneath. They do come in handy for various things. So, scrap now will actually, just like doing the last wall, it could be used as a brace or something. I'm going to go ahead and do this one, the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and grab 4 more studs. Once I get this one cut out, I'm going to go ahead and box this end in. We'll go ahead and box the other end, and then we'll go ahead and proceed to put the studs in the center of the wall and proceed from there. Now I figured while I'm making the top and bottom plates, this is kind of something I just figured I'd show you. What I have here is a board is I'm going to say 6 foot, if that. Basically this became a scrap after cutting out, I believe, a header for the door for the other panel that we just built. And again, it's just like I was saying, why waste, why go in there and waste materials when you have it? Use every board foot you can. There you go, quick and easy. quick measurement shows me the other half is not going to be long enough. But again, slide it to the bottom. I have another, it's another scrap that we can reuse. Here's our top plate, which is just got to be mounted underneath. And I cut these things down to the 16th. I make sure everything is tight, so that way once it's screwed together, it's not going to come apart. Definitely now I have no choice but to go grab a couple more boards, so let's do some more cutting, measuring, cutting, and screwing it down and getting this panel done. Well, getting back to, I guess I'm doing the top plate right now. Box of screws, and what I'm going to do is kind of like what I did going down the sides. The amount of screws I put in are, it's not really the absolute, I don't know what you want to say, correct amount. It's not to my liking, but what I did is basically just put just enough in there just to hold it until until I get ready. And this is just as simple. It's nothing more than I'm just going to start in the center. And I guess I haven't drank enough coffee because normally I'd need a hammer to tap these in. And looks like I'm off of here, but you know what? It doesn't matter. It's also the wood sat out here all night with the moisture. And as simple as that. Couple of screws here and there. Okay. Yeah, the plywood itself is kind of bowed, so it's taking out some of the strength that I would normally look for. It's actually coming together pretty well. So that's all I'm doing right here is just driving in a couple screws. And see, like right here, now that I've gotten, let me see if I can get y'all to see this. Today I don't have my assistant like I did yesterday. Tripod is not wanting to cooperate, so we'll go ahead and just freehand this. And this is what I'm saying is, with the way the plywood has been warped and all, what I'll do is just tap this in with a hammer. I've got like 6-inch long screws. I'll come in through the sides to connect this fully. I'll just grab a clamp it tight, and just tap it in. So the finished product is basically going to be just like this. You just want it nice and flush. Everything has to be nice and flush. Stuff like this, once you got enough screws in, just get some exterior caulking or exterior, what do you call that? Brain fart too early in the morning. Exterior putty of sorts, and you can just cover all this up, because like I said, this is the portable cabin. Now this design, from how I've designed this, at least in theory, this could be stood up, assembled, and then let's say you want cedar shake shingles on the outside. It could be covered in that. There's various ways to go from this design to the finished product. It's all up to you and how complex you want to get. I'm kind of going for more of the hunting cabin style, quick, keep it portable, so that's my idea on that. Let me go ahead and what I'm going to do, we're going to just do this off camera. I'll go ahead and get this done, install the bottom plate so it has the full wrapping it around. Then I think the next step is going to be putting in the studs and putting in the top and bottom plates for the window, figure out any additional bracing we need, and we'll get ready. Alright guys, now that what I've done is went ahead and I've got the entire outside perimeter of this panel done. It's quick and easy. I went ahead and also put in all the extra screws, make sure that they're at least flush. So I mean, like if there's just like a little hair or something like that just poking up, it's not the screw itself. I could just wipe a dab of something over it, silicone, outside putty, whatever. It could be finished, painted, whatever. I can have all these panels actually pre-painted off-site before they ever enter the camp or wherever it's going to be assembled. And I said 6-inch. I'm actually wrong. I've got a number 10 by 3.5. It's a construction screw. Let me see. Basically nothing special. You can see the little head on it. and just a star bit. So 2, 4, 6, 8. I'm gonna need 8 of these, and what I do is just run them down. As you can see, I just run them through, 2 of them down each side, and what it does, secure the top plate to the side stud. I think that's gonna be the next course of action. This panel is pretty. All these panels are honestly pretty well simple. The main thing is have a good tape measure. One thing I've discovered playing around with this project, I don't like using a construction style pencil. I like using an actual number 2 pencil with a very sharp point. I get better defined lines. That's what helps me. I don't know if it'd help any of y'all, but that's just my little tip. Also, go around before you start a project like this, unless you already have a favorite brand of screws you use. Like these, I personally don't like these after using them. The original panels that I screwed most of the decking squares together with, I love them. They have a better head on them. As soon as your impact driver drill starts touching the wood, it literally grabs and goes right in. These, you got to put a little excessive force, and I'm not really caring for it. But I figured, let's go ahead and let's do right about there. Give it a little push. And my bit's getting stuck to my screw, and that's really about it. Just drive them flush, because everything needs to be flush as possible. There is a little bit of room for error, so that's really all I'm gonna do. Alright, sorry about that. Had a phone call, and my ringtone would get me a it would definitely get me a violation of copyright if YouTube's little sound system picked it up, so I had to take care of that. Now I'm pretty well sure I'm running the screw in. Let me see. I just took it off, but instead of making a wait and hunt for it, the biggest issue that I found with running an impact driver, like the bit as I was going in, they deteriorate after so many screws, and there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it except buy a bunch of bits. But here we go. And instead of using a holder, I put my bit directly into my impact driver. So what it does is allows me, I could drive them flush without going super through, because I've actually literally drove screws almost all the way in, whether the Harbor Freight one or I love this Milwaukee one. This one is used in my toolkit, but the rest of the tools that I bought to go along with it, and I bought extra batteries. So they're pretty good stuff. I love it. I guess let me go ahead. I got 2, 4, 6 more to go. Finish doing this, and I guess we're going to go ahead and next and cut some of the studs to go in the center of this. We're going to need one long stud on each side of this. We're going to definitely put a top plate, bottom plate. Then I'm thinking to just give this wall strength, we're going to just run a small stud right here at the top, and we'll continue it right through this at the bottom part of the window. We'll go ahead and do that. Retest fit the window, make sure it all fits. Call it done. Alright, what I did was went ahead and grabbed, I grabbed this, like I think I estimated right around 6 pieces of 2x4 to do a full entire panel. I believe I grabbed total, I have 6 here total, but what I was going to point out was, like, let's say take these. Now these are 10 footers. Like I said, they were about $1 and odd change cheaper a piece. And not only as a number 2 board, which they have their imperfections, you can see right here, there's saw marks, etc. Now this just happens to be a rare of the pieces, but this is common where the edges are a little defunct. But for what I'm doing, I mean, you're not going to see none of this, and as long as I pick through all my boards, I apologize, I have another phone call, and that ringtone is going to get me in trouble with YouTube, so had to kind of shut the camera down for a second. But anyway, getting back. There are imperfections. Like I said, there's going to be with a number 2 board like this, or warped. You got to watch warped. That's why it's a number 2 board. It's not a prime board. But one thing I do is I will go through a pile of 1,000 of these and nitpick each one until I find the number I need, and make sure that they're going to be straight as an arrow. If they have a slight, very, very tight slight bend to them, a little bow, you can work it out depending on what you're doing. I mean, it's not hard, especially when you're running 8 foot. You can manipulate it the way you want. But what I was getting back was, as I had, I grabbed my entire total of 6 pieces. Just like I said, that roughly is what I figured out that each panel is going to need. Here's the 3. Each side is 1. So there's that would make 5, and the top and bottom plate would make 6. And as I was saying about the scraps, like down there underneath all this, I have probably 2 little 2-footers. But while I was looking, here's a leftover piece from making either the top plate or bottom plate, but it's not complete garbage yet, because I do need the top and bottom plates for the windows. I went ahead and looked underneath there. I found this one, which is another also leftover. Went ahead and grabbed it. You can see where I've marked it and cut the little, put the little X indicating that's going to be a scrap, and this one probably will become a scrap piece. Same thing with this one. I went ahead and looked under there, grabbed this, measured, marked it, put an X, quick, just like that. Those pieces have already been marked, so we got the lengthwise studs, we got top and bottom plates. Let me go ahead and get all this stuff cut as well, and then assembled. And the only thing we'll have to do, just put a little stud right here in the center, one at the very bottom, and we'll go ahead and get this panel on its way to being done. And I'm so excited to test fit the window. I guess, and away we go. Let's get these plates done. And it's always the reason, like, just like now, why I said I mark my boards. I found these, the ends to them 10-footers. I'm like, what are these for? By realizing that they have an X, and I know I just got done cutting, so to me that's why I mark them, because then I'm just scratching your head trying to remember what piece goes where, or why you cut it or measured it. And just like that, 4 pieces cut, we throw our scraps underneath. Now it's time to start installing these studs. And I can't just rave how much I love this Milwaukee. I tried the Harbor Freight set, garbage. The only thing was well worth the money at Harbor Freight, which is now becoming their older impact driver. I loved it until the plastic broke at the base and the battery's hanging by its wires. So when I got offered that Milwaukee impact driver for $35 with a charger, the case, 2 batteries, the guy who sold it to me didn't even know what he had. He thought it was just a regular drill. I was so stoked after I checked the price and realized it. I bought the actual drill to match, and the little circular saw, a couple extra batteries, and the only thing I do want to buy to my little set, I am going to buy the M12. They're the M12 extended life batteries. I bought 2 batteries, and the guy on eBay basically ripped me off. He sent me these little compacts, so I handled him through eBay, but I'm still not upset. I still got my money's worth out of the batteries. So let's go ahead and get these studs installed, top and bottom plates. I'm ready to get this panel done, and I'll photograph it for my Instagram account. I went ahead and got this first stud put in. Now it's only secured in by 2 screws, because like I said, I do like to cut them where they're dead on, and so I'd rather have a super tight fit. So nothing, while the parts are being transported to location, from location, assembled, disassembled, etc. Got it in. What I did, slid it in here, manipulated it, got it in place, used the good old hammer to beat it nice and tight. And kind of like in the beginning, like when I popped the 4 string lines, the cool thing about having the string lines is, you know, if the string line made the very edge of like your window opening, the rest of it running, I know now that if I come right about here, lay screws right here, I know I'll never miss that stud. Same thing at the bottom. I've always had an issue doing whatever. I like seeing lines. That way I know right where my stud's going to be, and you're not screwing all off craziness, having excessive holes. So I just thought I'd show that. That's the kind of importance of keeping things square, running string lines or chalk lines and stuff. At least I know now, without even guessing, that the edge of my stud, because it's flush right here all the way down, I know without even looking that it's going to be flush, and it should be dead on the mark down there. So I can just go right through here and add the rest of my screws. Let me go ahead and get this other stud put in place. Then what I'll do is proceed to run my screws all the way up and down, put my other plates in, get them nice and tight, get the fronts of them screwed down. Then when the walls stood up, I'll definitely have to go ahead and stand this thing up to be able to install my inside studs, and I'll secure them at top and bottom, etc. Then come back and I'll probably run me another little string line down the center wherever they're going to be, just to go ahead and secure them in place. And that's all it is. Bring it in flat, get it close as you can, tilt it up. What I do is always, once I get one corner or one end of it flush, say by the opening, like that one down there, I'll put one screw so that way I can use it as a pivot. Then, as you've seen, just use my good old hammer. Make sure I have it right where I want it. I like flushness. And go ahead and put another screw in. It's exciting, getting down to the last good ways away from calling this one done. I definitely will not probably buy this brand of screws again. I definitely don't like them. Well, let's see. 2 more studs. See if I can get y'all better angle of what I'm doing. And like I said, this is, oh, she's gonna be a tight one. It's not a bad thing. Working by yourself kind of sucks. I mean, an extra hand always helps. But sometimes when you got to get it done, you got to get it done. That's all it is right there. And it's just like before. Go ahead and secure this in place for right now. One screw right there. We'll come down here, make sure everything is still nice and flush. Two screws ought to secure it for right now. Still a nice tight joint, it shouldn't move. Now we're going to be moving on, which this one ought to be fun. Going to be working off the edge a little, because see, I've been using the battery box when I originally started constructing. Started using it originally, or started building it, and I was going to start filming. Then, I don't know, it was just time to start building walls. So, and one good reason to always keep your wood cut nice, tight fitting wood, just for reasons like this. Without a helper, I'm not having to run around, grab clamps and different things. Checking it, everything looks good. So what I'll do is I'll pre-start one of my screws. Double check it. Drive one in. Go down to the other end. And I think I like it right there. And that's it. 2 screws. We got a window opening. Actually, the window opening is actually there. So what I'll do real quick off camera is I'm gonna go ahead and drop in a bunch more screws. Let me see, give you a little better shot. I know this GoPro gives you a nice wide angle, but that is exciting. Look at that. So far, the panel, we got the entire wall. The entire wall panel is trimmed out on the outside. It's all secure. Screws evenly spaced the way I like them. And put a bunch of them in there because you don't want to be, you really don't want to scrimp on the screws. It's better now. I mean, I paid like $23 for that big box. I'm gonna go ahead and use them all up. Use them, make it nice and tight now. It'll pay off in the future. So now that I have the window opening done, I still need to come in and screw everything together, all the corners, so everything's nice and tight. And like I said, if you cut the wood, when you try to cut your wood, you want to cut it dead on. You don't want to leave gaps. You don't want to leave room, because it's going to allow you to twist and warp. Also, my recommendation, one of the things I've discovered over the years, like I used to love nails. Now I can't actually stand them. I only barely use a nail. I love screws because once you sink them down tight, they always tighten down even better. But with 2 screws here, 2 there, we only got 2 all the way around this box. Let me go ahead and add the rest of the screws, and for shits and giggles, I'll go ahead and bring the window over and we'll see what it looks like.